Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the UI that I've created to use for Dragonflight. Now, this is the UI that I'm going to be using when Dragonflight launches and while I'm leveling characters. There may be additions and updates as time goes on, especially when I'm done leveling characters and I'm focused on the end game and grinding and things like that. I may update and change things, but for the foreseeable future, this is going to be the UI that I'm going to be using. Now in this video, we're going to start out with the default Blizzard UI. I'm going to get you guys an updated code for a UI that I've made just using the editing mode feature available through the default Blizzard tools. So I've got an update to that. And then I'm going to activate all the add-ons that I'm using to create my UI, and we're going to run through the add-ons and what they do. So that's the game plan for this video. As you guys know, I'm very much into UI, add-ons, all that kind of stuff. So I hope that you enjoy the video and you can get some takeaways from it to either copy it outright or to use some of the inspirations in your own designs. So hopefully you guys think that it looks really, really slick and really, really cool. Speaking of, if you want to look really, really slick and really, really cool, like my UI does, which you'll see here pretty soon, then maybe you should check out some of the products available from today's video sponsor. So this is something I've never done before, but I got the opportunity. I was reached out to by a company called Into the AM, and you can see them, boom, right there. Into the AM is a t-shirt and clothing company that's based out of California, and they make products for men. And they reached out to me right about the time that I was looking at trying to find a new company to use for my own t-shirts and stuff. I wanted to find some cool designs to showcase here on the videos and the live streams, just to do something a little bit more interesting than, you know, plain colored t-shirts. And so this shirt right here that you're seeing is actually from Into the AM. But in addition to cool graphic tees like this, they also have a series of basics tees, which are the plain color tees, which I definitely need. I wear those to work. I can't wear cool graphic tees to work. So I decided, yeah, I'd take a look at them. I'd check them out. They said they would sponsor a video in return for an honest review. So that's what I'm here to do, is give an honest review. Now, I was sent 6 different t-shirts. I got 4 graphic tees. I got 1 crew neck basic t-shirt, and then I also got 1 v-neck basic t-shirt. And if you go back a video or two ago, you'll see that in some of those I was wearing the Into the AM clothing. So I have been wearing the t-shirts, I have been checking them out, and I do definitely have some points that I want to bring up, both positive and negative, and just give you an honest review of what I think. Before we do that though, I want to switch over here real quick and just showcase for you guys their website. So this is the Into the AM website, and if you come on here, you'll see they have a wide variety of some actually really cool designs for their graphic tees here. I was really impressed with just some of the themes and things. So I want to show you guys this one. So this is the full like jellyfish, and I think it fits rather well, actually. It's very comfortable. The other shirts that I've been wearing have been very comfortable as well. The designs on these graphic tees, like, rock, in my opinion, so I think that's pretty cool. In addition, they also have the basic tees that I mentioned. And these t-shirts, they do come in various packs. They have a 3-pack usually. A 3-pack of graphic tees is $60. A 3-pack of the basic tees is $50. Sometimes they run sales and things like that. You can already see that in addition to the shirts, they've got hoodies, they've got, you know, sweatpants, they've got hats, shorts, all this kind of stuff. I've only personally tested the tees, so that's all I can vouch for. But that is Into the AM's website. So as far as the review goes, like I said, I have a couple negatives, I have a couple positives. So, and then just a couple pieces of information. So really the random information is I was looking at the shirts. These are 60% cotton, 40% polyester, I believe. And when I was looking through the 6 shirts that I got, I saw that they had 3 different countries of origin, which I thought was interesting. It's not really a game breaker for me, but you know, these base shirts that are being used for the prints are being sourced from a bunch of different places. That being said, the feel of the shirts is very consistent throughout, so that wasn't really a big issue. The negative thing that I did notice, however, is that I ordered 6 shirts, all extra large, and they did not all fit the same. So out of the 6 that I got, one of them was just too tight. It felt too tight in general. I had 2 that felt like comfortable, but if they were to shrink in the wash, they would be too tight and uncomfortable. And then the other 3 fit great. This is one of the ones that fit great. The basic crew neck fit great, and the basic V-neck fit great. And then one of the graphic tees was too tight. And I tried to look, you know, based on that. I was like, well, is it based on where the shirt came from? And no, that's not the case. There was some cases where when the country of origin was the same, the shirts fit differently. So that's kind of a big negative in my book, that I can't order a shirt, especially when I'm shopping online, and get a consistent fit. Now, I don't know what the issue for that is, and I also don't have any experience with the return policy, so I don't know how easy it would be to get a shirt and say, hey, this doesn't fit, and then send it back and get a replacement. That's something I would need to find out. So that's kind of the negative that I would point out there, but I don't want that to overwhelm like the positives here. And this isn't because of the partnership or them offering to sponsor the video. This is just genuinely, when the fit was good, these are very comfortable shirts. The prints are very high quality. I think they're really cool. They're really vibrant, colorful. I like these shirts. I just need them to have a consistent fit. So as of right now, that's kind of my thoughts. I'm going to continue to evaluate these t-shirts, you know, put them through the wash, see how they go. If I get another shirt or hoodie or anything, I'll definitely be checking on the consistency of the fit and stuff. But if you're interested in trying them out, then you can use my code, which is Tsetzuko, which you can find in the description. You can also find in the pinned comment. So if you use the code Tsetzuko on the website, you can get 10% off of your order. So that's my spiel on Into the AM and their shirts. I want to say thank you for reaching out to me and offering to sponsor the video. I genuinely hope that the fit thing is something that we can figure out and resolve, because the shirts look really cool, and when they fit, they're super comfortable. I work 9-hour days, so 9-hour days in those shirts. I felt great. I felt great when I got home, continuing to wear them. This one feels really good. I'm enjoying it right now. So thank you again to them for offering to sponsor the video. Don't forget to check them out and use my code if you would like to check out some of their t-shirts. And with that, we're moving on to the UI. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. All right, so we're gonna pop over here in game. So what you're seeing here is not my UI, okay? This is the default Blizzard UI. This is the modern preset. So if we go into edit mode, you take a look, this is the modern preset here, no changes made, okay? So this is the out-of-box Dragonflight UI. And behind me is just the chat, so not a big deal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch this over to update here, which was done for this video. This is my version of the UI utilizing the editing tool only. So you will be able to grab the import code for this UI from the description below if you want to import this yourself. Now, I've made quite a few modifications and changes to the placement of things in this UI from one to the other. So I want to go ahead and kind of cover some of those. So if we look at the modern preset, you can see that, you know, it's very cluttered over here on the right side. You barely got anything over here on the left side. And then we've got just a big, huge stack of action bars right here in the middle. So with my updates, I've kind of changed a lot of things to kind of spread the UI out around the character and leave the central area very open. And a lot of what you're seeing here is stuff that isn't even active most of the time. So for example, you know, you're not going to have raid and party going at the same time. So if raid frames are gone, that kind of opens that up. If party frames are gone, that doesn't overlap. But We'll go through each one of these real quick and just talk about where I placed them, because the placement for a lot of this stuff is going to be similar when we switch over to my UI with add-ons, right? So we have target and focus over here off to the right of your character. The reason for this is when you are out there in combat, you can see your target's health right there. So you can easily keep track of health percentages and things like that if you have like an execute, or, you know, you just want to be able to see your target's health right there with the buffs and everything. Jumping back in, raid frames are posted up over here right next to the party frames. I like to have my party frames a little bit lower so that when I'm playing, I can just glance straight over to the left here and see without having to glance up into this corner. We've got our action bars down here, so if you watched my UI video that I put out before, you'll know what's going on with this action bar setup. But essentially we have our main abilities and core rotation here in the middle. We've got defensive and offensive abilities off here on the side. And then we have our various abilities, movement, crowd control, and miscellaneous combat style abilities here on the right-hand side. We also have a secondary little kind of mini bar addition here that's for our abilities and things that we don't really use in combat. So you'll see I've got my mount on here, I've got my various buffs, I've got my, you know, extra Hearthstone Astral Recall for Shaman over here. Then the rest of the bars that we have are going to be our stance bar over here. We've got our exit vehicle button here for when we're in there. This bar here is our pet bar. Right above that, I believe, is our possess bar. So when we're possessed, we've got that bar there. We've got our extra abilities over here. So for example, if you are out in Zareth Mortis, hopefully this works, and I pull this off, it'll pop this ability up over here, and then you can grab it, put it on your action bar, and it goes away. Then we also have our encounter bar over here. So in general, this area stays pretty clean. Now, I've moved the player health bar underneath the character. I find that that's just a really good place to put your health bar. It's easy for you to keep track of your health. You're just glancing right underneath your character. I've also left the cast bar attached to that, so you can see the cast going on right below that. I've moved the quest log over here to fill the space underneath the minimap, just to keep this whole section from getting filled up with quests. Over here, we've got the addition of raid boss stuff, if you need that. And then we've got our loot window over here to the left, so we just kind of moved it a little bit from where Blizzard had it. Chat stays the same. And then I've moved the tooltip up into the top up here, just because that kind of keeps it out of the way of the quest log. It keeps it out of the way of the bags. So if you're hovering over stuff, it's not in the way of your bags. And I genuinely just thought that having the tooltip up in the corner like that, you're using the tooltips, you know, it's just a small adjustment to get used to. And then that way we don't have to worry about, if the quest log gets really long, it overlapping with the tooltip and things like that. So you could obviously make some adjustments to this if you would like and tweak things, but as is out of the box, I'm going to be offering an updated import code for this version of the UI if you don't want to install any add-ons, or if you want to work with what's here to make your own updates and improvements or overlay your own add-ons with it, you'll be able to do so. Okay, so that's kind of the preliminary stuff for this video. Let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of the video here, and we're gonna turn on all of the add-ons that I have that I'm using. So one thing that is not part of my UI that I am enabling here is actually going to be error hider. Okay, so we're going to go over all the add-ons that I'm using here in a future video, but I've turned on the error hider just because right now with, you know, the pre-patch being new, a new expansion coming up, there's a lot of errors that just keep popping up randomly from different add-ons. And so instead of closing those over and over and over again, I've decided to install error hider to hide those errors, just for me and also for the video. So What you're going to see here is my UI. So this is the way my UI looks. It's going to be fairly similar to what you just saw. I tried to recreate something close to what I use in the edit mode, or I tried to create in the edit mode something similar to what I'm using here, so that for some reason I do have to disable my add-ons. It's not really all that different. So what we're going to do is run through the different add-ons that I'm using and what they do. And I'll show you possibly a couple of options to customize each one. This isn't really like a deep dive video where we're going to go over every single setting for every single add-on, but I am going to kind of give you a general overview of each add-on and some tips on how to kind of customize and change those. So, all right, if we get into the add-ons here, first off, I'm using an add-on called Simple Add-on Manager. I really like this add-on. It's super cool. I like the layout of it. I also like that you can add these like customized categories over here, and I'll talk about this more in depth in my add-on video, but that's what you're seeing here when we're looking at it. Right now, I've got a category for this video. So this is all the various add-ons that we're going to talk about. So I've already mentioned Error Hider, so we're going to skip over that one, and we're just going to kind of work our way around the UI. So we're going to start off with the quest log add-on here. This is called Kaliel's Tracker. I love Kaliel's Tracker for a couple of reasons. So one of the reasons I love Kaliel's Tracker is it lets you set a guaranteed size, a minimum and maximum, like a maximum size for your quest log. So in this case, I can scroll through these quests. And if I were to go back into town here and pick up like another quest or two, so let's do that. Go ahead and grab that, and let's grab another one right here. So I'm going around, I'm grabbing quests, and you can see that my quest log is not getting any bigger. Okay, instead what's happening is I get a nice little scroll bar. All right, guy, you need to be quiet. I didn't realize I had speech on. There we go. Okay, so what's happening here is I'm getting a scroll bar added to my quest log. So now this just stays in this same window, okay, and it doesn't take up all of my entire screen. In addition to that, I can hit a quick minimize button and it literally turns my quest log into 2 icons, which is super nice. Now, when you're going into Kaliel's Tracker, which you do by coming up to the plus button here and you just alt click, and that's going to open up your options, or you can go into options, add-ons, Kaliel's Tracker. Pretty much everything is in here. So if we expand this out, you're going to see modules. So this allows you to change the order of the modules that are available in here. So for example, if I wanted my quests to be above my campaign stuff, then I could just move them up, and that would move quests up to the top. All right, so if we move it back down, campaigns are at the top here. So you could actually, like, if you're focused on world quests, you can move your world quests all the way up to the top, so that those are always the things that are most visible here at the top. This is really nice because with having this scroll bar, you know, sometimes it can become a lot to scroll through, but if you pop in and you're like, hey, I'm going to be going around doing a bunch of world quests, that's what I want to focus on, then you could just move those up to the top and move them down later. Aside from that, getting into here, the main things that you want to take a look at is the position and size. So the X offset and the Y offset controls the positioning of the quest log itself. So you don't drag it around, you actually control it specifically through the X and Y offsets in here. In addition, a couple things that I recommend you take a look at is you take a look at your background texture. So if you come in here and you set a texture, then you're going to want to go into background color and pull that color all the way up to white, and then make sure that the transparency is full. By default, it'll be something like black with like a percentage, so you can make your quest log semi see-through if you want to. I personally like this Dragonflight border or background texture, so I've been using that. But if you're gonna use a background texture, you need to pull it up to here and then pull it up to here. Okay, so white all the way, and then all the way up on the transparency so you can actually see the background. In either case, if you start to pull one of these down, you're not going to see it. Okay, in addition to that, there's border texture here, so you can change this to different types. I use the KT border, it's nice and slim. If you wanted to, you could do like this square full white. That's a huge drastic difference. I just want to show you how that does make a difference. And then I like to border this by class. And so what we're gonna do in this video is I'll log into a different class character at the end so you can see how this kind of updates on the fly based on what class I'm in. I like this because it lets me, it just gives it a Shaman vibe, right? You know that I'm on a Shaman because everything is Shaman blue. So you can also update your text here, and we'll talk about text in just a minute. And then for headers, there's a couple options here. So I like the one line header. You can also do the default, which kind of does the yellow. You can do 2 lines. But I personally just like to stick with the 1 line. I think that's nice and clean. And here I use the border color, okay? If I uncheck use border color, I can update that there if I want that campaign and quest to stand out. Same thing with the buttons. Right here, those will change as well. So you can just easily tweak this stuff. These options here, they're all pretty self-explanatory. Show the number of quests. Now it's showing I have 4 out of 25 maximum, etc., etc. So those are a lot of the settings that I would keep an eye on here for Kaliel's tracker, but we'll go in depth into this when I do a video on it. I just wanted to show you some of the settings that kind of out of the box I would make adjustments to. So that's going to be, again, this position and size using the X and Y offset, the border and background textures, and then also updating the font text and then the headers. So those are the things I would focus on first. Oh, in addition, I would do the max height. So that's controlled right here. So I have this at max height 240. You can do the max height overlay and do that. If I were to change this to like 300, then you'll see that it extends the bar out some more. You know, I could do max height 800, and then it's going to keep extending this out as I get quests. But if I don't have quests, it will dynamically update like that and only go out as far as you want it. So I have it for 240 because I just keep it the same size as my minimap. Now, before we go any further with looking at the other add-ons, I'm going to talk to you about another add-on that I have here that's kind of a supporting add-on, and that's going to be GM fonts. So GM fonts will add a bunch of different fonts available to you through the various add-ons you're using. So what this does is anywhere you have a font drop down, like if we have Kaliel's tracker here and we go down to our font, it adds a bunch of extra fonts in here that aren't there normally. Now, I'm using Lato Bold across my entire UI, but you can also go in with GM fonts and add your own custom fonts. And I'll be showcasing how to do that in a future video about GM fonts. But just so you know, that is where I'm getting the various fonts from. I'm using Lato Bold, which is not anything super crazy, but you know, you could change this to a different font if you look at the quest log. You know, there's all kinds of stuff you can do in there, but I've just got Lato Bold across my whole UI. All right, so the next add-on we're going to talk about is the one that I am using for my minimap. So this is one I've been a huge fan of for a long time. It's called Basic Minimap, and it is very basic. Okay, so Basic Minimap, again, I like this one because it has a class colored box that you can check. So this minimap and the font and stuff within it will update to reflect the color of my class. Now, this is specifically for border. We'll get into the text here in a minute, but you can lock the map here. You can auto zoom out. You can have a square or round minimap. It's up to you. I like the square. You can change the size and scale. You could change what clicking does. So for example, if I go in and I right click, it will open my calendar. So you can tweak that. You can hide add-on buttons here. I don't have that checked because I use a add-on for that on my UI. And then there's different things here, like we can show new mail, or we can take the new mail button away. You can take the clock away. And you can add coordinates to the minimap, which I do have enabled right here in the corner. It's a little hard to see with the Shaman color with this particular map, but what you have to keep in mind is that the background color of your map is constantly going to change based on the zone that you're in. But you can easily, like if you don't want this, if you go into text, you can come in and you can change the color of the zone. If we uncheck class colored here, it will update with a reload to showcase right here. We're in Haven, right? So that's class colored. We can go into the clock. We can uncheck this, and then you can make it show up white like that if you want. But again, on some screens, white doesn't look great either. Now, something to keep in mind here is that I'm at -521, right? If I were to go, let's say 50, or well, let's keep that at -5. And let's do like 30, right? This will move up, okay? If I do -50, it'll move down. So you don't have to have your time and stuff like that inside. You don't have to have it inside of your map. You can have it outside. I just have it inside because that's where I want it. 21, regular 21, not negative, okay? So you can change that and adjust that and push that stuff. You can, you know, put your area title like outside on the bottom in the middle. You can move the clock to the middle of your mini map, put it up here. Like you could change that stuff. It's pretty basic, but it does allow you the flexibility. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. I just prefer to have everything for my mini map inside the mini map, which is nice for me. So, all right, so that is my mini map. So the next add-on that we have is actually this right here. So this is my XP bar, and this is being run through an add-on that's called XP Multibar. Okay, I used to use an add-on called Experiencer, which I really liked, but it did not get updated for Dragonflight. So I had to look for something else, and I found this XP bar, XP Multibar, and I actually really like it. I really like it a lot, and I weirdly really like the positioning of it here. So to get into this one, by the way, for minimap, for the basic minimap, it's /BM in your chat. For the XP Multibar, it's XP bar. Or you can go into your add-ons and then go to XP Multibar right here. Okay? So when we get in here, you've got options for the positioning. Again, you could set the width, you can set the height. So you can make this a full-fledged all the way across the bottom of your screen kind of bar if you want to. I really like the idea of just kind of sliding it underneath my mini map and just having it there, so that when I glance at my map, I kind of glance at my XP. It's out of the way of my action bars and everything down here. So that's kind of where I put that. On the visuals, you can choose a texture. For most things that allow me to choose a texture, I'm using this clean texture. Okay, it's just a nice flat colored one, but you could come in and make like a more dynamic, like this one has more of a little bit of a 3D look in here. You could do like the stripes and kind of break it up. Like there's all sorts of textures you can use based on the add-ons you have installed. I just tend to use clean for mine. Okay, there's options to show border, to update the color as well. You could come into the text, you could set your font size, you can add an outline to it if you want to. So you could blow this up instead of 10, you know, you can make it font size 18 if you're going to have a bigger bar. For me, I have the small bar, so I have a small font. And then you could set some mouse options in here as well, which I don't do. I'm just looking for it up there, right? Then when you come into bars, you have your experience bar, your reputation bar, and then you have bar priority. So this is going to determine what your bar says when you are tracking XP. Okay, so there's different icons. You can indicate if the character has rested XP, show the rested XP bonus. You can adjust the colors in here. For rep, you can adjust this stuff as well. All the different things that you can put in here are actually down in help. So if you go to help experience bar, then it'll let you know that cur XP will tell you the current XP value on the level. Okay, so when you're coming up here, the way this works is anything you type that's not in a bracket is just going to be normal text. Okay, so if we look at my reputation bar, right now what this should show is faction, standing, and then the reputation percentage. The parentheses and the two little dots here, colons here, these are not a piece of data from the help here. Okay, these are not a template for a piece of information, so they will show up as normal text. So if I go into my reps and I decide to track, let's say we're going to track the Zandalari Empire, it's going to pop up. And if we go back into XP bar, all right, if we look at my bar, so it's supposed to show faction, space, in parentheses, my standing with that faction, then a space, two dots, or two colons, a space, and then my reputation percentage. And that's exactly what it shows. Zandalari Empire, space, in parentheses, friendly, and then with the separator dots, the percentage that I'm into that amount, 17.1%. Okay, if I come down and I go to rep bar and I look for something else in here, you know, I could do like my need percentage instead. So if I come up to bars and then I change this rep to need and hit OK, it's going to tell me I need 82.9% to reach the next level. So it's as simple as that. All right. And that's what I really like, how simple this is. I like that it gives you some really easy ways to customize what's on your bar. It's not super complicated. It also allows you to kind of format all the text around that information to be something that you want it to be. So that's my XP bar, and I just keep it, you know, tucked right there. All my characters right now are max level, so I can't really show the XP side, but it's the same as with the rep. The XP bar is colored differently. Rep is going to be dynamic based on, I believe, what level of rep I am. I think if I change this, it'll change it to yellow because that is the rep color I am. So that's that dynamic coloring that comes into play there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and switch that back. Okay, so next, right below that, we have an add-on called Minimap Button. Okay, and this is just a button that takes all the buttons that would be around the minimap from the various add-ons and plugs them into a single button. Now, one thing I like about this, again, it will allow you to, actually, it just defaults to being the same color as your class, so it matches the rest of my UI theme, which is really, really nice. The code to get into this one is MBB, or you can go, I believe, options, add-ons. Nope, you can't. There is a command for this one. Let me check it out. It's so easy that you don't really need to do anything much with it. But by default, it'll just load this in here. And then you're able to easily just drag it around wherever you want it to be. And then within the options, you can lock it. I'm gonna have to look up what the command is for it because I just haven't used it in a bit. MBB gives you a bunch of information on it, /MBB. I think it's as simple as /MBB options. This is the add-on that got me, you guys. I was like, yeah, I know what all the commands are. You know, this is such a simple add-on that I just haven't had to really bother with it. So let's go in real quick. If you don't know, by the way, let me show you guys this. If you don't know what the commands for an add-on are, then I recommend that you go in to the add-on page, and usually they'll tell you, like here. So MBB set is what's going to give me the settings here. All right, so let's jump back over in game. And we're going to do /MBB set. All right, that's going to tell me the settings are scale, direction, and buttons. So MBB is fine. So we can drag the button by holding the middle mouse button or any mouse button while holding Alt. So hold down the middle mouse button, that will let us drag it around, and then we can put it right back where it was. That's really all there is to it. There's not like a whole lot of settings. It just collects all your buttons and then you can move it around. And like I said, it defaults to being class themed, which I personally really like. Man, that add-on really threw me off, didn't it? You'd think I was prepared for this video, but you know, I underestimated how simple this add-on is. But I really like it for those reasons. So now we're kind of swinging around into everything down here with the action bars, with the player bars, the party bars, you know, the enemy bars, all that kind of good stuff. And you can see the layout is pretty similar. So what we're going to do here is go into add-ons. And now we're just going to go down the list of the stuff that we haven't talked about yet. And so we're going to start with Bartender 4. So Bartender is what I am using for my action bars, and they're laid out pretty similarly to what you've seen in the edit mode version of my UI, where I have my main bar down here. I've got my defensives, my offensives, my extra abilities here, and I have an additional little mini, like kind of micro bar. So to get into Bartender, it's /BT. And once you're in here, you've got a variety of action bars that are available. And the easiest thing to do, in my opinion, is just enable the ones that you want to use and disable the ones you don't want to use. So I'm using 4 action bars, so that's what I have available. This way, when you check the lock button and it shows the various bars that are available, you won't have your screen filled up with a bunch of extra bars, like the bar 6 that you can kind of see behind here. Right, so if you just uncheck that button to make sure that these bars are disabled, if you're not actually using them, that'll keep your UI from looking too crazy once you have your bars sort of set, if you're gonna unlock them to move them around. Now this is a good way to see. Again, I have bar 1, 2, 3, bar 4 over here. I have the extra action still right off here to the side. I've got my pet bar above like usual. And in this case, I've moved my vehicle bar right, or my vehicle exit button right here. And the reason for that is it's just easier to manipulate the size, positioning, width, and things like that of your action bars using Bartender compared to Blizzard, where in the case with the Blizzard editing UI, I kind of just have to make do with the sizes that things are, and I can't really adjust them. So for example, like the vehicle bar, you know, I was able to adjust the scale, alpha, that kind of stuff here, and make those adjustments here. Now, in the case of Bartender, if you unlock the bars, then you can just drag them around on your screen, which I'm not going to do. This is what I use to move the status tracking bar, which is the XP bar, up here underneath of the map. And then I also have bar 4, which I'm actually going to slide bar 4 down just a little bit here. So in here, you've got all your action bars. You've got your bonus action bar, your class bars. So this is normally used for Druid shapeshift forms, but in general, your shapeshift bar will replace bar 1 when you shapeshift. You've got your pet bar, you've got your stance bar, which I don't have active on the Shaman, but it is right here above these abilities on this particular layout, which you'll see if we change to another class. And then we have our extra action bar, which is right here. In addition to these, you've got your bag bar, which I disabled. The micro menu, which I disabled. I can enable that and pop it back up if I want to, but I don't want it there. I don't actually use that menu at all. I know the hotkeys for all the stuff that's on there that I want, or I just access that stuff through the escape menu. Vehicle bar, queue status bar, status tracking bar, and then the Blizzard art bar is also disabled. So that's the Blizzard art bar. Don't need it. Got rid of it. Okay. So that is bartender. Nothing too crazy there. Also, in addition to this, I have an add-on. It's not really an add-on, but I wanted to tell you about it just so you're aware, because this is kind of impacting the way that my UI looks. So I'm going to come in here to my WoW Retail file. I'm going to go into interface, and I'm going to show you guys this real quick. All right, so within here, I have an icons folder. And in this icons folder, I have this huge dump. This is a huge file. Okay, and what this is this is AI upscaled icons for all the icons that are available in the game. Okay, and this is, I believe it's called like upscaled icons. I will put the exact name of it in the description below so that you guys can copy it if you want. But my icons, I think they do look a little more HD, a little more clean, a little more high quality. They're not drastically different from the default one, so I really don't recommend this if it's not a big deal to you. Like, just ignore it. But if you're someone like me where you're like, I want to eke out every little bit of quality I can get, then I decided to install these and take a look at them and see how they were, and I really like them. So if you want to do the same, you're just going to put that icons folder inside of that interface folder the way it is after you download it, and then you're good to go. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. Now, for my player bars, and also for my target bar, and my target of target, my party bars, and everything else, I'm using a classic, an add-on that I have been using for ages and ages and ages now. It's called Shadowed Unit Frames. Okay, so Shadowed Unit Frames, you can open. Bartender, by the way, is /BT. Shadowed Unit Frames is /SUF. Shadowed Unit Frames. So this will pop up the unit frames here. Again, you can lock or unlock frames. If I unlock the frames, then you can see kind of what my layout looks like. Again, I've got my player here. I've got my pet bar and health right next to that so I can keep track of it. I got my target, target of target, and target, target of target, and then target of target of target. If you have all that stuff enabled, it pops up right here. Now, genuinely, I did not do much of anything to tweak this out of the box other than move things where I wanted them to be. Okay, there's a lot that you can do, but what I did is I came into general. I came to the bar texture and I set that to clean. Like I said, that's the texture that I generally use. Then I came in and moved stuff around. So I pulled my party down. I moved my target over, I moved my player and pet bar over, I moved the boss frames and focus stuff over here, and that's about all that I did. I did come in to the player and just make sure that everything here was good. And that's pretty much it. Like, Shadowed Unit Frames out of the box to me is really good, but it does have a ton of stuff that you can look into, which I'm not going to get into in this video because it's a lot, but I'll get into it in a future video where we actually break down Shadowed Unit Frames in detail. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and come back over here. We're going to lock the frames and close. All right. So going back into add-ons, the next one we have is LS Glass. Now, this is my chat add-on replacement, so I'm going to switch over here real quick so that my camera's out of the way. So this is my chat add-on. Now, this is moved around using edit mode. So if I want to move glass around, I'll just come into edit mode and move the actual chat around. Okay, so the code for this is LSG. And this is just going to pop it up. It's pretty simple. Again, like nothing crazy here in the chat. It gives it a nice updated look to it. You can replace the font, which I have my Lato bold going. And then you can change like your font size. You can add a shadow or an outline. You can adjust the fading if you want the chat bar to fade. Additionally, I do use Leatrix Plus which I don't have enabled right now because it's not really a UI add-on, but one thing it does for the UI that you're not seeing here is it will get rid of this social button, and it'll get rid of the chat channel and little menu icon button here. So typically I do not have that. If I were to go into add-ons, and if I were to turn on my Leatrix Plus and do a reload here, you'll see that those will go away. Right, so those are gone. So this is what my chat will actually look like. Okay, and then so when I switch over to this version, which is what I'm typically going to be in when I'm playing and recording videos, my chat is back there behind my camera just to kind of keep it hidden out of the way. All right, jumping back into our UI video add-ons here, we have mask. So mask is another thing that I'm using. In this case, I'm mostly using it for WeakAuras, and I'm also using it for bartenders. So the style of these buttons, the way they look, like the border and the size and stuff like that, is based off of this flat squares skin for mask. Okay, if I were to come into options, and then go to add-ons, and then go to mask, then I could come into skin settings, and for bartender, if I wanted to, I could change these. Like here's dream, you can see that looks different. Zoomed, it looks different. Default. So this will look just like the default Blizzard UI if you like that kind of look. Personally, I like the flat squares look. I think this is really nice. That's the pack that I'm using for mask. I'm using this in bartender. I'm using this in WeakAuras. It's also used in Kaliel's tracker, because Kaliel's tracker will sometimes put a button out to the side for the quest item that you need to use for a particular quest. So that's in there too. Also, if and when I use Opie, I'll use Opie and Opie Mask to allow Mask to theme the skins for the Opie radial menu. Okay, so that's what Mask is being used for. Next, we have Narcissist. We're going to save Narcissist and Sorted for the end and talk about those last. So let's skip over to Threat Plates. So Threat Plates, which I believe is /TP. Nope, it's not. We'll go to Options. All right, Threat Plates. TP. That's right, TP. There we go. /TP. All right, so there's so much going on in here. So much. It's absolutely ridiculous. This will take a full video to go through. I want to let you know that I installed Threat Plates, and I'm basically using it as is out of the box. I think, if anything, I might have gone in to... I don't think I went into anything, honestly. I think out of the box, this just looked really good. I was trying to think if, like, maybe I adjusted, you know, nameplates, like text or font or anything. I really do think I'm just using this out of the box as is, but this is just a nice, clean looking health bar that I think is just really slick, and it matches the rest of my UI. Again, I believe with this one, you can come in and I think you can set the texture and stuff like that. And again, I would just use clean. So yeah, Threat Plate's basically just out of the box. I don't have it, especially for leveling and playing multiple classes. I don't feel a need to come in and like change things super drastically. But at in game, when maybe I'm doing a lot of like instance content or group content, then I may want to, you know, adjust some things at that time. But just for leveling, like, this is solid. This is really good. All right, and then we have Tiny Tooltip Reforged. So Tiny Tooltip is what you're seeing when I hover over people. I like having this because I like to see the tooltip right there when I hover over the thing. Okay, it also works for like the spells and stuff. It just kind of sticks with my mouse instead of coming over here into the corner. Now for this one, it's /TTR, Tiny Tooltip Reforged, TTR. And when you come into the options on this one, you can mask the options. You can skin more frames. You can come in and change the background file, which I did not have changed for some reason. Mine should be Dragonflight, which is the one that I like here. And again, we're going to come in. You've got border options here. You can go in and customize what your settings are going to look like for the various types of characters. So player versus NPC versus hovering over a spell. You can set the font, which again, I have my default font set to Lato Bold, so that's what it's going to be using. And yeah, it's just really nice. One of the things that I will point out is right here, if you look at the anchor, okay, so I have this anchored to cursor right now. You can change this to default, and then it'll put it up here where I have that tooltip kind of thing set from the edit mode. But you can also, when it's set to default, you can go into edit mode and drag the tooltip to wherever you want it to be, and that's what it'll default to. So if I were to go into edit mode and take that tooltip and put it down here, then when this is set on default, it will show up down there in the bottom. Okay, so we can just do that real quick. So if we grab the tooltip, let's just slam it down here. We'll save. And then we'll go into, see how it's popping up down there at the bottom now instead. Okay, obviously you got to make adjustments to that, but that is what default is. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back up here where I had it. And we're going to save. All right, so there it is. All right, so if we go back into TTR, then there's also like static, and you can set the anchor and you can put it where you want it to be. So in this case, if you don't want to mess up the default UI, you can set the anchor. And for example, let's just put it like right here, or we can put it right here above our bar. That's fine. All right. And then we can close. All right. Sorry, we need to go back into TTR and turn off the anchor. All right, so now it'll pop up right down there at the bottom, right? So you can set the anchor to that as well. And then additionally, you can set this to default when you're in combat. If you want to make sure that when you're in combat, it'll go to the default position, or you can just hide the tooltip in combat as well. Okay, so for me, I like to have it at the cursor, and that's just where I prefer to have it at. All right, so when I'm hovering over something, it gives me that info. It makes it easier for me to see. If you're fighting like 5 different things, then you can 100% confirm, looking right there at your mouse, what it is that you're fighting or what it is you're trying to select. Okay, so that is Tiny Tooltip Reforged. WeakAuras. So WeakAuras, I wanted to talk about this briefly because WeakAuras is doing 2 things for me. So first off, WeakAuras is loading in my rotation helper, okay, which we are going to talk about in a totally different video. What I want to grab real quick from here is the display. All right, it's not that one. It should be Fury Warrior. There we go. So Fury Warrior display. All right. So we're going to come up to Enhancement Shaman, and we're just going to pull this. This is actually where I want this to be. It's right here. So let's go 0, 0, 200. Okay, so it's loading in my rotation helper for me. Which isn't super relevant. You'll see it when we go into combat, but when I'm out of combat, it does give me some information here. This is telling me that I need to cast Lightning Shield, I need to get my Flame Tongue weapon and my Wind Fury weapon going. So that stuff is there. But in addition to that, I also am using WeakAuras for my cast bar. So you can see that's my cast bar there. And it's just right under. So in terms of UI, those are the only 2 things that I'm using WeakAuras for, is the cast bar replacement and also using it for the rotation helper. Okay. So then we are down to, I believe, the last two add-ons here. So we've covered all of these. I'm just double checking to make sure. And then we've got Narcissist and Sorted left. Okay. So let's talk about Narcissist. Now, Narcissist is a add-on that I've recommended in previous videos. And in my opinion, it's gotten a lot less clunky and complicated if you mainly want to use it as a character pane replacement. So by default, this is what your character pane will look like, right? This is the default World of Warcraft one. I changed the hotkey to this to Shift C. So if I ever want to open it for whatever reason, sometimes it's more convenient to open this. If you want to like replace gear, enchant things, stuff like that, then I can. But with Narcissist installed, I get a much cooler updated character pane here, which gives me all of my gear listed out. It gives me my stats, it gives me my eye level, all kinds of good information over here on the side. If I hover over an item, I can see the details of it. If I hold down Alt, it'll show me the other options that I have available in this slot. Things that are a higher eye level will be in color, and things that are in a lower item level will be grayed out, which I think is pretty nice. It lets you look kind of quickly at what you have to potentially update your character. So for the example, this one here, it's showing me that this is a item level upgrade, but this is also a leather item, and I'm on a male character, so you know, it's not actually like an upgrade for me. So you could run around with this, you know, if you want to, whatever you want to do, but you just hit escape and it pops you out. It has a cool little AFK thing. You can set it to like circle around your character and stuff like that. It's really, really nice. And one of the things that I didn't like about this add-on that I thought made it really clunky and obnoxious is on this screen, they had a bunch of additional buttons and things for photos. So Narcissist is actually built to let you take like a bunch of cool photos and stuff. But now to get into those, you actually come to the button and there's a photo mode. So you can go into photo mode and do your adjustments here. You know, you can change the lighting, you know, all this kind of stuff can be done from photo mode itself instead of it being default on the character pane here. Now, I really like that because I don't use photo mode, okay? I don't care that much about it, but I love the character pane. So I'm using Narcissist for the character pane primarily. But there are also two other things that it adds that I like. So if you go to Narcissist Achievements, you can get an achievement window that looks a little bit different than your previous one. Now, I actually don't know that I like the look of it. You can change it here and make it classic. You can make it flat. I don't like this dark wood default here, but you can set it to classic, set it to flat. I think flat looks okay. But a couple of things I like here is you can follow kind of like the quest chain clicking through here. And you can also click through and look at all your different achievements just going down the line. It adds some really nice, like, nifty features here that I think are super cool. So that's a nice little bonus there on the achievements window. And then in addition to that, there's also the dressing room. So the dressing room window here for Narcissist is actually really cool. So it gives you a much bigger window to look at your character in. And you can come in here and you can look at, you know, your different pieces of gear. You can turn them on, turn them off. You can link your outfit. You can open up a turntable. This is something you can get for like streamers and stuff like that. You can actually, if you wanted to, let's go ahead and find a different character real quick. All right, so if we come in here, if we click on this guy, let's go to the, not the photo, we want the dressing room. We can hit use targets model. And now we can take his transmog and see what it looks like on our character, which I think is really cool. All right. We can also copy an item list of what this is that they're using as well. And then again, like I said, we could link this outfit. So lots of cool little stuff that you can do here. And then they also add an addition for the barber shop where you can save pre-made combinations of customizations. So let's say that, you know, you gender swap your character every now and again. Sometimes you play as a dude, sometimes you play as, you know, a female or whatever. Dude is kind of gender non-specific. Sometimes you play as a guy, sometimes you play as a girl, right? Then you can actually save the customization for each one of those as a preset customization option, and when you go to the barber shop, you can hot swap between those. So, or even if you don't gender swap, maybe you just have like an old version of your character and a young version, or you know, something like that. You can save those and swap in and out between them. So Narcissus is super cool. I really like that they kind of tucked the photo stuff away underneath that icon and kind of have kept the character pane here sort of to itself. I definitely like that. So super cool. And then the last add-on to talk about here is going to be Sorted. So Sorted is a bag add-on. Now I will tell you that a couple of the add-ons that I use are very resource intensive. So Narcissus is one, WeakAuras is another, and Sorted is the other one. These three are very resource heavy, and that's because they do a huge reskin of the UI, right? They're adding in textures, new features, all this kind of stuff. So there's no reason for you to take Narcissus if you don't like what it does, right? Just grabbing it to have it, it's gonna put a larger load on your computer, so I recommend not doing that. WeakAuras, you kind of can't help if you want to use WeakAuras. And then Sorted is a bag add-on here that is pretty resource heavy. So if you are worried about it and you'd rather just have something that's low resource, you know, there's Arc Inventory, Bagnon, Addy Bags, stuff like that. They all run significantly less resource intensive than Sorted does. But I just really like Sorted. I just really like this add-on because it displays the inventory in a list, like and this is a huge deal for me. Like, you can display it as a grid if you want to, but I love not having to like hover over stuff and just be able to look through a list. There are a ton of options available for the add-on. So if you come into options, nope, not options, sorry. If you come over here, I believe settings, we'll use the default, and then we can pop up over here. So you've got different skins. So you have one that looks closer to the regular UI. You've got the clean, and then there's also skins you'll be able to add on, like download. That people create. You can change the scale, you can change the texture, you can put the categories at the top or the side. So that's what these are. These are filtering categories. So right here, this will show me only weapons. It still shows everything else, but it highlights the weapons, highlights the armor. You can come in and still do your search. Like, you could search for plate and see what stuff you have that's plate. I know I have a leather piece, so like this will show me, you know, leather. Anything that comes up with the search result of leather. So that's in here. In addition, like, they have all these like sort. This is the whole thing, sorted. They have these different sort categories in here. So like, you can sort by expansion. So you can see everything in your bags, you know, grouped up by expansion. You can sort it based on the value of the item, how long you've had the item in your bag. So this is really nice to look for stuff that, you know, you got recently. If you have like old stuff in your bags. You can sort by the item level. You can sort by the rarity. You can favorite stuff. Like, I usually come in and favorite my Hearthstones. Oops, not that. So I'll favorite these. And so you can keep your favorites on top. You know, you can come in here and you can actually like remove stuff here. So, I mean, you can actually just remove the icon of the item if you wanted to. You know, but this is all stuff that you can take in and out. And the whole purpose is to make sorting your inventory really easy to do. So they also have like the reagents tab, the bag tab, You can come in and look at your currencies in here in a nice little stack. So that's nice. You could sort those as well. And then again, with your options over here, there's features. So you can combine stacks or not combine stacks. So this will actually combine stacks for things that normally can't be stacked. So if you have it like an item where you've got 10 of them and they don't stack, it'll stack them in the view for sorted, right? It doesn't actually stack them in your bags to save you space, but in terms of presentation, it will stack them. You can pin new items, so anything new you get will show up right underneath your favorites. You can adjust the list view icon size, padding. You can add borders or take borders away. You can make the icons round, you know, all this kind of stuff. Same thing with the grid view. You can make your own custom categories, so you can get rid of the ones up here that you don't use. Like, I don't really need a category for gyms, so if I wanted to, I could go gyms, and I could just delete it, and now it's gone. And then if I wanted to, I could come in and I can make my own category, select an icon, choose the attributes that I want to focus on, and then I can adjust that stuff in here based on what they have. So like if I wanted a category that was like just for, well, let's see, what kind of weapon do I have in here? All right, let's say we want to do a category for maces, right? Then we can come into icon, whatever. We can search for mace. Good enough. So we'll come into type, and then we'll select type, and we can do one-handed maces, two-handed maces. All right. So then we'll, oh, sorry. So then we've adjusted that right here. We have maces. All right. So if we come in and we go to maces, it'll filter down to just the maces. So yeah, you can do a lot with sorted. I really like the presentation of it. That's why I'm willing to run it, even though it is like, it's resource heavy compared to, a lot of add-ons, right? It's not like insane. It doesn't make my computer like chug, but it does take up quite a bit of resources. So what I wanted to do here to kind of cap off the video is I wanted to just do a quick combat to kind of show you what everything looks like in combat. And then I want to switch characters and show you what that looks like on a different character, since you've been seeing a lot of blue here recently. All right, so that is what we're going to do. Just kind of showcase some combat here. All right, so that's a decent look. We'll do one more. All right, so that is what the UI is looking like. Let me go ahead and switch to another character. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll go over here so we can log out instantly. And then we'll hop over. We'll hop over to Druid. I think that's a drastic change from blue. We're going from blue to orange. Now, I may have extra add-ons enabled for this guy, but they shouldn't show up like UI wise. All right, so let me just double check in here and let's make sure we have the error thing. And then we've got everything here enabled. So we'll do a quick reload. All right. We're gonna go real quick into WeakAuras. Drag this up here. I haven't made the WeakAuras adjustments yet. All right, so then we're good to go. So as you can see, this is what the UI is gonna look like on a Druid. I don't have any quests, so Kalios actually is not gonna show up. So if I accept a quest, and then the quest will be there. So you can see that that's what that is gonna look like. And then we can come in here and go do our Druid stuff. All right, so that's what the UI looks like on a Druid. So pretty much it's the same exact thing. The main difference here is that, you know, the colors over here, we got orange, 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 orange. But that's pretty much it. The cast bar is, you know, the same. In this case, I have the extra cast bar there because I haven't disabled it yet on this character. But that is disabled through one of the add-ons as well. So that is it. That's the UI. I know this was quite a long video, and you know, we didn't even get to go like in detail into every single aspect of each of the add-ons here, but I'm going to be putting out a number of add-on tutorial videos over the course of season 1 here on Dragonflight, so you guys can look forward to that. We'll deep dive into each of the add-ons when that happens. So let me know what you think of my UI in the comment section below. If you have any questions as you start to get into anything here, definitely feel free to let me know in the comments. If you have a question, I'll do my best to try to answer for you. I cannot troubleshoot for you, you know, conflicts between your add-ons and your PC and all that kind of stuff. All that I can do is tell you potentially where to go, where to look for, how to change something with an individual add-on. So if you're having problems where it's like, hey, you know, I turn on shadowed unit frames and my player bar isn't showing up, well, I can tell you, hey, make sure to go here and make sure it's enabled, you know, and then hit the lock button to try to see if you can move it around. Maybe it's somewhere weird. But outside of that, you know, if add-ons are conflicting with each other or something like that, I can't really help. But I can help in the context of at least like the add-on settings. So if you have any questions when you get in and dive into that, just let me know. Again, I want to say thank you to Into the AM for sponsoring the video. Shout out to you guys and your comfy tees. Other than that, thanks to everyone who helped fund Content Season 1 here on the channel. This is it. This is the start. This is the kickoff for it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate your time. I hope to see you on the next one.